Hello, bootstrappers.
Hello, bootstrappers.
Hello, bootstrappers.
Well, today we're going to talk about lost and found. So design is one of the cheapest ways you can increase the value of your company as a bootstrapper. And navigating and making sure your users don't get lost in your product is a huge part of having a successful design. So today we're going to get into material design and how they talk about navigation.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it.
So there are three types of navigation that are important in building apps and websites for that matter. Then how do you transition between the different levels or the different screens? And then search, how do people find things when they don't know how to click through and get to it?
So, navigation for me is one of those things I don't notice unless it's not working.
That's right. Good navigation is invisible, which is why it's easy to skip through it. But bad navigation is a showstopper and it'll leave users frustrated. And, we spend a lot of time on this. I don't know about you with your SaaS product, but like on dating, it was hugely important.
Oh, man, we spent more time on making sure that people could get to the right area, could do the things that they wanted to do. And when we got it wrong, we heard about it.
Well, yeah, because enterprise security is a complicated thing, right? That's a bear of different screens and places people need to go. Hugely complicated. Okay, so let's talk about your three types of navigation. And it's funny, a lot of this, it feels like it goes into the no duh bucket, but you got to think about it and you got to be able to talk about it with the designer that you may eventually hire to help you finish up your product. So Eva, as I was reading through this, they talked about, how do you get around a product? And they used an example of a song playing app. And, what are the different levels? And they have, top level, library, recently played, search. Then you've got individual songs, but those songs might be grouped in an album.
Sure. So mine are like by album or by music genre, or like my two go-tos to get to.
Absolutely. And so lateral navigation refers to the top level major functions that you want your users to be able to get to. And so here they've got library, recently played, and search as being the major things that they want people of this app to be able to find. Now, how they go about that is there's three different ways that are standard. And, there's a great book, Don't Make Me Think, which is all about this. And anytime you build an app, you do not want to invent a new way of doing something because users don't know you. They don't know your brand, and they're just going to give up. They're going to be very frustrated. And so here, the basic first level is tabs. And that's for if you've got 2, 3, maybe 4 things, and they're used on, all your platforms, mobile, tablet, and desktop. Then you've got bottom navigation drawer. Now, this was a new term for me. This is where a list pops up out of the bottom of the app. I mean, I've seen it, I've used it, I just didn't know it had a special name to it. And you put your top level destinations here, and it's really good if you've got 3 to 5. You only see it on mobile. You never see this on websites. Then you've got the navigation drawer, which we used to call side menu when it was web. And that's your top level.
Is it drawer because it expands then? So like
it can. It depends on the app. On a phone, it would tend to expand because you don't have enough horizontal space there to fit it on permanently. On a desktop, it would probably be open all the time.
Okay, so this is for the lateral navigation, which is that top level.
Yes.
Okay.
And websites, it used to be a menu across the top because you've got more vertical space. And so you would either do, am I going to do a menu across the top or a menu down the side?
Okay.
Now with mobile, it seems like it's gone to the side as more of the dominant metaphor. So let's go through these together, Eva. I mean, here are your tabs. They remind me of the old menus that we used to use on the website. But you notice there's just not that much room. So you really can only put a few things here.
So when I'm thinking about this, I want to get really clear on like 2 or 3 just top level umbrella sections.
Absolutely. This is the must-see parts of your app. Now they've got 2 levels here. You see the top level where it's pets and search, but then they've got a tab to kind of, categorize your pets by the type there.
Okay. So I could have, and I'm making this up, I could have cars, and then that might go into whatever it goes into for those 3 tabs. And then pets would be this one that we see. And
Absolutely. Now, the second part are these bottom navigation drawers, which is basically similar to a tab. It's along the bottom, but you've got a little more room because of the way the icon with the text underneath it's a little smaller. And you see these on mobile apps, all the time.
Yeah, and they tend to be icons, right? Not the words. The words on the tabs, icons below.
Right. But I mean, it's interesting in the design spec that more importantly to have the word than the icon, because not everyone knows what each symbol means unless it's a completely universal icon.
That makes sense.
Now, lastly, and this gives you the most amount of room to play because you can scroll here, is your navigation drawer, which that implies that it can shift in and out depending on what the user's doing. But on desktop, this would typically be like if you look in Gmail, it's down the side and it stays there the whole time.
Yeah, and on Gmail, there's a button where I can make it go away.
Yes.
Or come back, but it tends to stay there the whole time. Are there any design considerations that you noticed around navigation doors? Is there a limit? Is there?
Well, that's right. I mean, what they said was that you want to have the least amount of your tabs, 2+, but you probably wouldn't go over 4 or 5. Your bottom drawer gives you a little more room, so maybe you can go to 6 there. And then here, you can do more than 6, and it just depends. Obviously, when a user looks at an interface, if they have way too many choices, a lot of times they just shut down and they're like, I don't want to spend the time figuring out how to do that.
Okay, so if it looks like the junk drawer in the kitchen, it's not good.
No, it's not good because the mental cognition, basically a user's making a decision about, am I going to take the time to learn how to do this? And the more options you give, like for me, I'm learning right now how to do Photoshop Premiere. It is unbelievably intimidating because you open it up and there's like 700 things it feels like you can do. So you have to have a really big brand, like Adobe has a great brand. So I'm willing to put the time into it. But if that was Mr. No Name startup, no way. I would just be like, I can't do this. It's too much.
So designed for the beginning users, so they stay around, but make it useful enough for the power user so it grows with them.
Absolutely. Okay, now you've gotten your top level stuff out of the way. Now you need to show users how to dig in and get to the part they want to. So, for us in dating, it would be get into that profile, read it, ask someone out for this song, for this album app. It's get down and play a song, right?
Right.
Well, so a lot of this is built into Material Design or any design framework. So first of all, a lot of things are clickable, and users know that they're clickable because every app does it this way. So they give you cards, lists, and images, all of which a user expects to do something when they click on it.
And these are all very familiar. Like I see them on my phone every day.
Yes, and so a big part of picking one of these frameworks is it takes a lot of the work off, and users already know how to do it. Now, second of all, and this would have been the dominant way to do it on the web, is buttons, AKA links. You see that button down there, you know that if you click it, it's going to take you somewhere. And then the third thing is search. So every user expects there to be some sort of search functionality unless you've got the simplest of simple apps. If you have any kind of content, they expect to be able to search for it.
I'm so out if I can't search.
Absolutely. I mean, how much time did we spend on search at one and
Like, how much time every quarter did we spend on it? It's like we always went back to improve search, improve search, improve search.
And it was interesting. Every time we made search better, we made more money. Simple as that. So now
that's true. Let's go back to search for a second. That's true. The people who are on your site searching are the people who are on your site because they want something and they know they want something and all they want to do is be able to find it.
It's the biggest indicator, right? I mean, people don't search because they're trying to leave your site. They desperately want something that's on your site, or they hope that it's on your site.
That's right.
Okay, last, and luckily this is the easiest because it's built into the mobile operating system, is how to get users out of those screens and back up to where they can do something else. And this is the back key that's in Android and iPhone that they've trained every user, hit this button and you'll pop out and go up or back the way you came in.
And you're pointing to something that we learned too, which is it doesn't pay to be the earliest adopter for when there's a new kind of form that's starting to gain traction. You want to wait till there's some general adoption and people know what the symbol means.
Absolutely. Don't invent these. Piggyback on all the companies that have already spent all this money training your users what to expect. Now, transitions, and this is kind of the fun eye candy part of it, but there's a deeper meaning, which is how do your users know something happened? Because if you just went from one screen to the next, A, it's jolting, and B, it doesn't really, I'm like, did I go where I wanted to go? Did I pop into that thing I clicked, or did I go somewhere else? Sort of feeling. So what's cool about the material design is they've got some great graphics to show you. And so again, these are kind of built into the system, so you get them for free, but they design it to be like a material, like a piece of paper. So that you get a feel, even if it's at the unconscious level, that I'm going from top to bottom, or I'm going back out, or I'm going side to side. And they have different ways of doing that that show you, what's going on. Now, Eva, you were mentioning before we started about something we observed at One and Only, right?
Oh, yeah. So transitions, it's really important. We learned it was really important that users need to have the experience that something is happening. And so we had to add a spinner button so that people could have the experience of some work happening on the back end and feel confident that, I think they were uploading their photo or something, so they needed to feel the upload and then get the "we got it" message.
Absolutely.
When we just did the "hey, we got it" message, like they didn't believe us, and we would get like multiple uploads where they were like, let me double check. Okay, one more time, because I'm not really sure and I really want my photo up there.
Absolutely. Now we're going to go over to the website because they've got these great animations that show you how it works.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got the parent-child transitions, and so that's when you're going down the hierarchy, and because it's material design, it looks like a sheet of paper that's folding up or folding in as you go back and forth in the hierarchy. Now, it's interesting, they also film it in actual action here.
Oh yeah, so there's a visual representation of peeling away and then going back.
And it's not super long. It's almost unconscious how fast it happens, but they're training you what to expect when you see that.
And it reinforces like where I am in the hierarchy.
Absolutely. So now we're going to go down to peer transitions. And so here you see it's more like sliding sheets of paper over.
Now is this like the tabs?
Yeah, it would be a tab. This is top level, going between major parts of the website versus popping in and popping out. And then here again, they've got another animation of it that's really good. So you see it sliding.
Oh yeah.
As you're going back and forth. Now, this is top level. And here it just kind of looks like it's flashing when you're going between top level destinations versus your peer car. In their previous example, it was pets, which would be dog, cat, bird. Now I'm going to the major parts of the website. And you just kind of see a flash there.
Yeah.
Now, the last part they cover here, and which is honestly easy to overlook when you're starting out, because it's like, search, gosh, do I really want to do that? We wouldn't have existed without search. And I know search was a big part of your SaaS product, right? They had to be able to search through and find things.
Search, sort, order, save. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The search.
Well, for mobile and for all these devices, there's a pretty standard way. And I know that I've found one of these confusing. I'm starting to train myself to do it, but there's the persistent search, which is kind of what I've expected to always be out there, and I can type it in and look for stuff.
We got trained on this with basic web apps from a desktop.
Absolutely. Then you've got this expandable search, which took me a while to realize, I've got to click that. Then it comes out like I'm supposed to do it, and I type it in, but it saves a lot of space. And for phones, that's a big deal. So that's it. I mean, it's not super complicated. It should be in the background, but boy, is it important. And this is a topic that you've got to learn the words, you've got to learn the lingo, so that as you're designing it and you're working with designers, you know what to say about it.
That makes sense. The thing that stands out to me is that it becomes really important to think about how users will think about the site, to think about how to structure the ideas so that it's easy to navigate.
Absolutely. Now, if you've got any questions about this or topics you want to cover, put it in the comments down below. We do respond to each and every comment. Take our survey if you want to give us a little more information about where you're at your bootstrap journey and how we can be helpful to you. This is a journey. No one's an overnight success, no matter what you read in the press. It takes a long time, a lot of hard work, but I know you can do it if you put your mind to it.
Absolutely. And you know what? Please do leave us a comment, even if it's just a high five. You're right, that was a duh, but you know, I didn't think about this. Or there's this one thing that stood out to me. It's really cool to hear. And also other people are watching the video and reading the comments. And the more we can begin to collaborate, then the more power bootstrappers have.
Absolutely. Now, next week, we're going to talk about branding as well as some sales techniques from a guy that had a very bootstrap company in Little Rock, Arkansas. And so I think you're going to find that enjoyable.
I can't wait.
Well, take care, bootstrappers. See you next time.
See you, bootstrappers.